Afternoon, lovely viewer. I hope you're well. Today we're going to do a video, and it's a video of a rose that hasn't done well for me this year. This is a new rose. It was I bought it potted this year at the beginning of potted rose season, probably April of this year, and it's a rose that it just hasn't done well for me. I've got a matchstick here, and you can see that the growth that it has given me this year, it hasn't been great. It's just very flimsy growth. You can see when I bought it, and I'll include a photograph here. When I first bought it, it had these magnificent stems coming up, and I thought that this is a rose that could do well. It's Porcelain Parfuma. It's meant to be a strong grower, and yeah, it was promising. But I'll show you the rose of when I first bought it. But remember, that was at the start of potted rose season, so ultimately the rose, it would have been dug up from the ground when it was healthy like this, and its roots would have been trimmed right back. And I'll show you a photograph of the roots when I first got it, and you'll see it here. Those roots, they're cut right back just so that they can get the rose in a pot, and then they fill the pot with a potting mix and they ship it out. But when I got this rose, the soil was all loose. It was loose. It had obviously been upside down, and it was practically falling out. But you'll see the roots of when I first got it. And at the beginning of this year, when I got it, I did pot it immediately. Because the soil had fallen out, and I planted this in a mixture of its 50% topsoil, ordinary garden topsoil, and a 50% mix of John Innes No. 3, which is a loam-based peat, sand and clay mix. Very heavy. Now, it could be that the reason this rose hasn't done so well is because that mix was just too much for it. I did put the rose back in its potting mixture, and then I planted it in, so it will have the potting mixture still round it. But I'm just curious. Now, I could leave this rose in this pot for another couple of years, and its roots, I'm sure, in time will spread out and grow strong. I'm sure that will happen over time, because sometimes it's just like that. But I'm just curious. We're curious, aren't we? We're curious as to why sometimes our roses, they just don't do so well. Now, here's another rose here. Let me grab this one. This is a rose that was bought at the same time, and it's from the same collection. And you can see how well this one has done with its lovely strong growth that has come up. And I have pruned it back a couple of times. That has done fantastically well, but that has been left in the pot. We're going to look at those roots as well. But I'm just curious. Now, I'm going to have to chop this video up. I'm going to carefully extract this soil, so I don't break off any of the roots. It is November. I'm going to have to be more careful with this new phone. I hit the stop button, but it's November the 28th today, and I'm going to carefully, break away this soil so that I don't break the roots. But it is dormant season here at the moment, so this is a good time to do this. The rose is asleep. So yeah, I'm curious. I want to see the roots. I want to see the roots of that. That'll be easy enough. Just unpot it and have a look. But it could well be that this soil is just too heavy for those roots, considering how far they had been pruned back. Normally when you buy a rose bare roots, it's got the lovely sort of long, strong sort of roots. But when you buy a potted rose, particularly at the start of bare root season, you often see that. But let's get this soil out, and we'll have a look. Just as I'm doing this, I'm just getting the mulch off. It has been fed. It's been in great. It's been in a great position in terms of sunshine. But I'm feeling this, and that is quite heavy, quite compact. And I do fear, you know, if you have a rose that hasn't been doing so well for you, I don't suggest you do this. I really don't. Just give them time, that all important ingredient. But I'm feeling this, and that is pretty compact. And the rose, it needs air, it needs to breathe. We know our roses, they need water, but they also need air. And this is it's a heavy pot. And I think that is why this here, it hasn't done so well, but I'll keep going. I'm having to give this a bit of a fork to carefully loosen up some of this, but right, you're just starting to see, this was the original potting mix here. You can just start to see it come out here, but it is, it's heavy, it's heavy. Right, I've just managed to get that out now. You can see there's some polystyrene at the bottom here, but this is a potting mix that I've used before many times, and it's been very good for me. But let's have a look at these roots. Right, well, here we are. I don't know if you can see that, but I managed to get the rose out without breaking away the roots, the soil. It come away good enough, and I'm not sure if you can see that, but there are some feeder roots. You see these roots here, these are the feeder roots. They do the sort of drinking, and these are the roots that absorb the nutrients. But I was half expecting to see, you know, some of the thicker tap roots come down from this, and there aren't any at all. So just a minimum amount really of these feeder roots in terms of the quantity. You know, I mean, look at that. It's not even the size of my hand. So in a way, I'm actually glad that I had a look at this. But I knew when I started that pot, when I got the mulch away and I started to get the soil out, I thought, no, that soil is too heavy, it's too compact, perhaps. You know, maybe I just made a mistake. You know, we all make mistakes, and I just felt that the pot was too heavy. And I think that with these roots being cut off like they were, there just wasn't enough oomph there. But like I say, sometimes it's what goes on beneath the ground. And I thought, well, if the growth up top was so flimsy like this, maybe the roots are going mad. But as you can see, they have not. Now this rose here, let me just do this if I can. Hold on a second. This one here has just been left in the pot, and look at that. It's a rose from the same collection, but that is dense with these lovely feeder roots that are filling that pot. So this one here would be perfect for going in the ground, or indeed in a pot. Now this rose, if your rose isn't doing so well, you know, time is a great healer. Just give them time. Give them time, and I'm sure had I given this rose time, in a year, another year, 2 years, 3 years, those roots, they would have broken out, and I'm sure it would have succeeded. They just need time. But this rose here, now I have looked at it, I am glad that I dug it up. Now look at these stems there. That was when it was in the ground. This is meant to be a strong grower, this rose, but I just knew there was something that wasn't right. Now the potting mix, like I mentioned before, it is something I've used before to great success. But I think this one, it was just too heavy and too compacted. I think that is why this done it. But do not do this. I've said before, you know, don't do what I do. But I am glad that I had a look at that, because I don't think there was much going on down below at all. But what I'm going to do with this rose is I'm going to repot it, but this time I'm going to make sure that the compost is a bit lighter, a bit more aerated, to give these roots a bit of a chance. I'm sure that will go in the ground now lovely, because those roots have developed strong enough. You know, that would be okay. But you don't, you know, when you plant your roses, you don't want to hill them in, you know, pack them down. You want the roots to breathe, and I don't think this one was. Right, now the last thing I want to say is I wanted to thank a few people I posted a photograph a little while ago of Shawnee Boy, and you know he passed, and many of you I know commented. I'll be honest, I haven't actually read that post as yet. I haven't gone through it as yet, but I will do. But I wanted to thank people. And the other thing I want to say, there's a couple. I want to get these out the way while I can. It's Thanksgiving in America. I know there are some people celebrating it in this country as well. So I wanted to wish people a happy Thanksgiving wherever they are in the world. Now, the next video will probably be around Christmas time. I don't want to upload too much content. You know, I'll upload if I see something that might be of interest to people. And this was of interest to me, so that's why I uploaded this video. I don't want to feel the pressure, Gav, of uploading, you know, too much content. I upload when I think I've got something to say or something to do. Right, lovely viewer, I'm going to leave you now, and hopefully I'll see you before Christmas. I hope you have a lovely day.